Today's episode is titled Nano's Command Line Tutorial for Beginners. Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited to continue with our series on Nano. So we'll just take off from where we left off in our previous episode. I will make sure to leave a link in the YouTube card so that you can check out our previous episode. But without further ado, let's just jump right into the video and just continue from where we left off last time. Taking off from where we stopped in the previous video, I will start first today by reviewing a few of the commands we used in the previous video, and then we will just continue to build off of those commands as we progress in today's episode. The very first command we will look at, which is a repeat of a command that we did previously, is how to create a directory. So the command to create a directory is mkdir space the name of the directory. So I will put dir01 as the name of my directory. I press enter and I can confirm that that directory was created by using the ls command. And then we can see the directory has been created. If I want to create multiple directories at the same time, I can just put the names of those directories. So I can put dir02 for the second directory space, and then put the name of the third directory, and so on. You get the idea. And then once I'm done, I'm satisfied, I just press enter. And then when I do ls, it lists all the directory for me. That's how we create multiple directories. A similar concept of how we create multiple directories can be applied to how we create multiple files. In our previous video, we did say that to create a blank file, you type the command touch and put the name of the file. So I put the file name, and when I press enter, the file is created. I can confirm by using ls and press enter, and that file has been created. To create multiple blank files at the same time, we'll use the touch command, and we just put the names of the files. So I'll put the file's name. Now press enter, and when I do ls and press enter, those files were created for me. The next command we will look at today will be how to create multi-level directories. And by that, what I mean is, how can you create a directory within a directory within a directory? That is referred to as multi-level directories. There are two ways you could go about it. The first way is to go into one of the directories we created. So let's say we change to directory 01, and then we can make a directory within that directory. So let's say directory 05, and then when you do ls, you see that there is directory 05, and you can change to that directory, and then within that directory you can create another directory called dir06. This is one way. Another way is to just do all of them at one go. In order to demonstrate that, we'll come back to the user home directory. So I'll use cd and the tilde sign. Press enter. I'm back to the user home directory. To create a multi-level directory at once, we will continue to use the mkdir command to create directory. This time around, we'll use the -p option, and then we can say, let's say directory 10, then we'll put a slash, directory 11, we'll put a slash, directory 12, and then we press enter. So this will create directory 10, and then within dir10, it will create dir11, and then within dir11, it will create dir12. So that's how you can just use that one option -P to have multi-level directories created at once. So I will press enter and we have a long list of the directory content. The next command to look at is to remove directory or delete a directory. There are two commands that we can use. The first one is the rmdir, which is remove dir, like remove directory, and we put the name of the directory, dir01. And when we press enter, it tells us it failed because this directory is not empty. So the rmdir command is used to delete a directory that is empty. So let's try another directory that is empty. So let's try the 02 directory. So that was deleted. So if we do ls -l, directory 02 has been deleted. Now coming back to dir01 that has our content, how do we remove a directory that has our content? Let's use ls -l to look at a long list of the content of the home directory. ls -l, press enter. In our previous command, we use the rmdir command to remove an empty directory. Another command to remove an empty directory is the rm command. If you remember in our previous episode, we use the rm command to delete a file. We can also use the rm command with an option to delete an empty directory. So to do that, we type rm -d as the option, and then we put the name of the directory. So I'll put dir03, and when I press enter, that directory is deleted. Now we want to delete the dir01 directory, which has a content. So we'll use the rm command, and this time around we will use the -r option, and we'll put dir01, and it's going to delete that directory that has content. So that's how you delete a directory. So you can either use the rmdir command to delete an empty directory, or you can use the rm-d to delete an empty directory, or the rm-r to delete a directory that has content. The next command we'll look at is the nano command. The nano command is a text editor command. So we'll use that to edit one of the files that we created. So you type nano as the command, and you put the name of the file. So I'll put file 01 and press enter. It enters within the file. I can just put a content. This line is the first line of file 01. And if you look at the bottom, it has the symbol and X. So that symbol represents control on Windows or command for Mac. So to exit is control or command with the letter X. So if I press that, it's going to prompt me to save, and then I just need to put Y to save and then press enter. So content has been written to file 01. In order for us to view file 01 to see what is within that file, it brings us to the next command called cat. So we'll type cat space file 01. And when you press enter, it shows us the content of that file. It has just this line within that file. That's how you will edit a file that you already created before. But let's say we didn't have the file and we want to create the file. So you can also just go with the nano command, space, and then put the name of the file. So let's say new file, and then put the extension .txt. In the previous command, we didn't put the extension, but it's a good thing to put the extension of the file. So we're creating a new file, which is a text file. So we'll put the name of the file .txt, and we press enter. In this case, the file doesn't exist, so it's going to create it, and then at the same time, it opens the file and gives you the option to put an input into the file. So I'm just going to put the months of the year. Once I'm done, I can exit and it will ask me if I want to save, and then I can save, or I can just use the Control O to write out. So it's going to save the changes to the file. So that command will save the changes to the file without exiting the file. So you can either do that or you can exit and then save the changes whilst you exit. So I will try the command or Control O to write the changes, and then it tells you file name to write. I will just keep the same file name, new file.txt, and press enter. So it saves the changes to the file. It tells you at the bottom, wrote 12 lines in the file, but then it still has the editor open. So to exit the editor, we'll use Command or Control X, and we'll exit. Again, to view the content of that file is cat, and then you can use new file.txt, then you press enter. It shows you the content of the file. So cat is a short form of the word concatenate. So it's actually that long word concatenate. So the short form of it is cat. There are other commands that we can use to view the content of a file. We have a command called more. So you put more and you put the name of the file, .txt, and you press enter, and then it also shows you the content of the file. One of the benefits of more, for example, if the file has a lot of information in it that cannot all fit on one screen, it will display the first screen, and then when you press page down, it takes you to the next page of the content of the file. So it shows you page by page. So we have more and then we have less. They pretty much function the same. It's just that less has a little bit more advantages over more, but they pretty much function the same. They will display the file for you to see page by page, provided the file has more information. Let us use the less command to view the content of the file. So we type less space, the name of the file, and we press enter, and it shows us the content of the file. And to exit out of it, you just press Q on your keyboard and it closes the file. The next thing to do is to use this command cat, more and less, on a file that has more information within it for us to see the various results with these commands. We'll start by using cat, and then we access the system log, which is in /var/log/syslog. We press enter. From what we notice, the cat command shows the content of the syslog file, but it just brings us straight to the end of the file. So in order to go to the top, we have to use our mouse to scroll up to go to the beginning of the file. So right there, you can see the shortcoming of using cat to view a file that has a lot of information. It brings you straight to the end. You will have to scroll within the file to find exactly what you are looking for. So let us use more with the name of the file to see. In Linux, we can use the up arrow to repeat the previous command. So if we press the up arrow once, it's going to show the last used command. If you press the up arrow a second time, it's going to show you the command before the last command. And as you continue to press, it goes through a history of all the commands that we have used. So I would just go back to the beginning and just remove the word cat. I'm just being lazy. So I will just remove the word cat and replace it with the word more. So I'm just using more to view the syslog, and I will press enter. So when I press enter, it shows me the first page of the more command. As you can see at the bottom, it tells us that we are seeing 2% of the content of the syslog. So if I press page down, it's going to go to the next page, and then so it will show me page by page by page till I get to the end. But let's suppose that what I'm looking for is, let's say, this information. Once I view this information, I don't need to keep pressing page down to go page by page till I get to the end. I can just press Q on my keyboard for quit. So if you press Q, it's just going to exit out of the more command. The same also applies to if you use the less command. So we'll just repeat that command, and then we'll remove the word more and replace it with the word less. And we press enter, and it's going to pretty much do the same thing. So we can use page down to show page by page, and we can use Q to exit. We will wrap up today's episode with 2 more commands I would like to share with you, and they are the head and tail commands. So let's start with the head, and then we go to the tail. We will repeat the command and then go to the beginning and just remove the word less, replace it with the word head. When we use head with syslog to view the content of syslog, look at what will happen. If you press enter, by default, the head command is used to show the first 10 lines of the file. So we are looking at the first 10 lines of the file. So the tail command does the opposite. It shows you the last 10 lines of the file. But let's suppose that for some reason we want to specify certain number of lines, then we can use the head command with the -n. So I will just come here, repeat that command, use -n, and let's say I put 2. I just want to see the first 2 lines of the syslog. If I press enter, it's going to show me the first 2 lines still. And then I will keep the -n, and 2 is going to show me the last 2 lines within that file. So these are the last 2 lines. If I don't use the -n option, it's going to show me by default the last 10 lines. So just like the head command, but just the opposite. So one is showing you the beginning of the file, and then the tail is showing you the end of the file. So if we press enter, it's going to show us the last 10 lines of the file by default. Let us also use the head and tail command on that file that we created, enter the months of the year within. So we'll take head, new file.txt, and we press enter. It's going to show us the first 10 lines. If we repeat that command and replace head with tail and press enter, it's going to show us the last 10 lines. So again, just the same way you can use the -n to define how many lines you want to show. So if I use -n, let's say 4, it's going to show us the last 4 lines, September to December. And if I change the tail to head, it's going to show us the first 4 lines, January to April. Let us look at one last option that we can use with the tail command, which will come in useful to you if you want to monitor the system log. To do that demonstration, I will minimize the terminal. So I'm going to just use the up arrow to go through all the commands. I'm just pressing the up arrow. So now I'm back to the syslog. I just want to use the option -f and press enter. When we use the tail command with -f on syslog, it shows us the syslog file, but it keeps it active, and then it will keep showing us new updates within the system. Basically, system activities that are going on. So I will open a new terminal section. So I'll press Command Alt and T, or Control Alt and T. So the moment I press that Command Alt and T, if you notice, it tells us that started a process, and you see genome terminal server. So we were able to see that we opened the terminal with the -f in the syslog, because when that action happened, the terminal was updated. If I do another thing, let's say I click on LibreOffice and open it, we see the syslog is updating. So the tail command with -f helps you to monitor and see live update that is happening on the system. That brings us to the end of today's episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed. share the video with someone who will find it useful, and make sure to just keep practicing what we have learned today and what we have learned previously, just so that you keep being familiar with the command.